What's up, everybody? How are you? Happy Monday. It is June and it is on and on and on. The time is not waiting for anyone. I think the weather's changing. During the day, it's hot. Then at night, it's getting cold. I think we're finally getting what spring? Is that what it was? Remember that? We didn't have that. We went kind of straight into summer. But it is what it is. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. Um, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I sure did. Malika and I celebrated our 6 year anniversary, which was awesome, and I was very happy. And we did a good thing. We was out in the DMV area, hanging out with you. Well, not with you, Doc, but hanging out with your people out there, the DMV, doing the Capital Jazz Festival, which we had an awesome time. We wanted to just get away quick. You can see the sponsors right there. Don't forget Row House. We will be doing something, of course, this weekend and every other day. When I'm saying Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday. Father's Day is coming up. Hopefully, I'll speak to some of you before then and wishing all the fathers a happy Father's Day. And I hope everybody's doing good. First and foremost, let me ask the doc, how you doing, Doc?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right.
How was your weekend?
I did a boxing. I was full. My weekend was doing several things developmental. I USA boxing, doc. So I had some folks. We're talking about the Olympics. We're gonna have some folks going to the Olympics, and then we hosted a 85th birthday for one of the doctors in the DMV. He turned 85, so we hosted that. That was great. He was the same doctor that delivered my children. His name was Dr. John George. So we had a good time. It's just giving
Oh,
thanks and giving back.
well, bless his heart and happy birthday to him.
Yep.
Um, you know, you do the boxing. A lot of people don't know your credentials. The bottom line is, but you're like a ring doctor, correct?
That is correct. I'm a USA boxing ring doc for amateurs and professionals. So I love doing the amateurs. Yet the other day was Saturday all day. We were doing at the police station here in Landover. We did a developmental, like we have like 30 boxers that just want to learn how to box. They're just brand new. They were their first bout. It was so cute. I'm like, okay, it's okay. We're gonna win us because we didn't have a win or lose. They were in the ring. They were matched up by weight and the being at their first. There was most of them were pretty well matched, but one or two of these little fellas look like they've been boxing for a while. So they're like, I was like, oh, I had to stop a couple. I'm like, nope, 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 nope.
Yeah.
So we were doing 8 count. We were like, okay, little bloody nose. No, we can't do this. Okay, but it's really good for the sportsmanship. Of course, being a martial art expert,
Yeah.
and it really helps build character. The parents are all involved, and it's one of the sports that we as Black people, it don't take a lot of money. Okay, when I said that you could be boxing just like we play basketball, and now we have folks in the Olympics. We've sent several of our boxers. Many of them are now professionals, like Tank. But we have quite a few, and I love the amateurs. I do both the professional. I mean, I've done Mayweather, his fights, etc. But I my preference are the babies, and we look at their report card. We make sure that they know that we're interested in them, not just in the ring, but even outside the ring. And we see them when they're small, all the way up to as they're larger and older, and it's exciting. So yeah, that's one of my other hats that I wear.
Yeah, and it's so funny. You just mentioned a couple of names, but mention some names of people that you've uh, doctored their ring, I should say, if that's the right word, the terminology. You've sat in their ring.
Well, there are quite a few. Lamont Roach. I want you guys to follow him. Lamont Roach. I believe he's 18-0. He's undefeated. He went pro, but I remember when Lamont was what we call Golden Gloves, which are the little kitty, and his father is his coach. Lamont Roach Sr. But I remember, and he got a full scholarship at University of Maryland, and he just continued to box. So he had to put his college on hold. But he's going to be boxing pay-per-view. I mean, we can now see these boxers on the TV, and he's going to be June the 28th. Mark your calendar. He's
Mm.
going to be boxing. Then we have a guy, Dwayne Holmes, who I think he just did his eighth professional. So, but I remember Dwayne when he was 8 years old. So it's almost like in practice as I'm a pediatrician, I see my patients grow older and grow up. Same thing with the boxers. So yeah, it's rewarding. So that was my weekend, cuz.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was a good one, and stuff like that. Like you said, you sat in Tank's ring, and
Right,
Mayweather's, and all these guys, right?
right.
So
Oh yeah.
that's good. So
Oh,
let me ask you a question. Maybe I don't know if there's something that you want to talk about, and we'll jump right back into that. But everybody's Real Talk Chronicles, of course. That's Real Talk with Dr. Marilyn Corder. If you have your questions, please put it in. Stefania says she wants to say
hey,
I miss you. See, she put it in. She said, Dr. C, I missed you.
I saw so many people at your function. I love it. I get to see
Yeah,
they put their names with their faces. Yes.
yeah, exactly. So, a good friend of mine, he's recovering from a stroke. Prayers out to everybody that knows for that know Ronnie Wright. He was the photographer to the stars, BET, and other things that he's done. He's in stroke. I spoke to him. He's doing better, but please send your prayers to him. With that being said, what are some of the signs of a stroke?
Well, in med school, we'll tell you that what's happening with a stroke, you have your neurological center called your brain being,
Hmm.
it's almost like a hurricane in your brain. I mean, it's to put it bluntly, things stop working. It gets off circuited, and often you can't speak. They'll say speech is impaired. You're trying to talk, but your speech is often slurred. It depends on where the bleed is, where the stroke is. If there's a ischemic bleed, we call it ischemic bleed in terms of in your brain. You often can have like a drop, a drool, a paralysis in your face.
Hmm.
Some people would say, you disoriented, and you can have what we call TIAs, which are transient ischemic attack. T is in transient, I is in ischemic, and A is in attack. Where we call it attack, but it's called when your brain is having episodes of pre-stroke, and you can feel a little funny. Some people stop almost as if they're having a seizure, and they come back, but they don't know what happened. It's almost a lapse of time. But when those plaques or what have you break off and begin to occlude, block blood flow to certain areas of your brain, then from there you get the effect. So I guess I should have said like an earthquake. You get the effect. Some people have small strokes, and they recover. You want to, as soon as you think someone's having a stroke, definitely call 911. And we now give medication in the ER that can stop a stroke from progressing, because a stroke is different from a seizure. Because a seizure is a seizure, and you come out of it 2 or 3 minutes later, etc., and you might be flopping around and all that. But a stroke continues. And if you are fortunate enough to get to a hospital, then we can give you medication that stops the stroke from progressing. So that's relatively new. Now, most of the time you have a stroke is due to hypertension, um, and some people have a massive stroke, and they often have sequelae, which is a big word we use in medicine in terms of a consequence of the stroke. May not be able to walk anymore, may not
Mm.
be able to talk anymore. Their whole system is shut down in terms of they could be aware of their environment. But you've had people, even on social media, there's this wonderful husband who's on social media. I think his name is Terrence, somebody who talks about his wife. His wife is right there. She can't talk. She's laying, but she had a stroke. But she was very lively. What's sad about strokes is immediate, and it progresses, but it's like 1 minute you're fine. People will have strokes at work, people have strokes wherever, at weddings, at wherever, and next thing you know, they were right there, all cognitive, all aware, and then they're out of it. So,
Mm.
we have to respect strokes. We have to respect blood hypertension. You don't have to have a real high blood pressure to have a stroke, but the other things that set in place would be embolize, which are um, blood clots. And
Mm.
I had a conversation today with my daughter, your cousin, who
Yeah.
talked to her 2 or 3 times a day. She lives in Ghana, and
Hmm.
she's telling me about strokes, cause people. I'm gonna say this. She's almost she was an anti-COVID vaxxer. She gets all
Right.
the vaccines, but she She said, that vaccine making people have all these clots. But then COVID did too. So it's like, you're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so blood clots can cause, we're talking about embolism, and they can be lodged in your heart and your brain, and cause debilitating stroke, activities such as stroke.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm,
you
so-
can have a stroke and survive a stroke now. Some
right,
people say, I had a stroke 10 years ago. And because my dad, your uncle, he had a stroke. I never
yes,
forget when he had a stroke. I was at the hospital, at the office, seeing patients, and Freddie was at the house. And Freddie describes it so clearly. He said, Granddaddy was sitting at the table Saturday morning, and all of a sudden he couldn't talk. And my mom,
mm,
his grandma said, Theodore, what's wrong with you? And he couldn't. He was slurring his speech. So right there in front of my child, Granddaddy had a stroke. They got him to the hospital. I'm gonna say black people don't like going to the hospital. When
no,
when
no,
Freddie called me, or maybe my mom called, I think, and said something, your dad is not feeling well. I'm trying to get the history. I realized he was having a stroke. I said, I'm calling 911. She said, oh no, he just wants to go upstairs and go to sleep. I said, well, he wants to go upstairs and die, you
yeah,
know,
right,
and he'll rest all right. So
right. Yeah, people, we got to understand. We got to stop medicating ourselves, and I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, two friends of mine earlier, and we just got to tell people, you have to go to the doctor. You can't just say, oh, I'll put this off and tomorrow morning I'll go, because you never know. You like some people don't know. Some people don't know they have strokes or stuff like that, or whatever the things like heart attacks and things like that, because they're correct me if I'm wrong. There's small ones and they're big ones, but a stroke is a stroke, right? A heart attack
correct,
is a heart attack, right?
correct, correct.
You
So
know, everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. That's Real Talk with Dr. Marilyn Corder, and we are here on a Monday, and we're trying to give you something. I know some of you might be outside and you'll catch YouTube later, but if you're watching it from YouTube, subscribe to it. If you're watching it from Facebook, share it, and you can always go back and watch the podcast. And if you have questions, please ask the doctor, because I always say this: you don't get a chance to ask your primary these kind of questions when you're there, because remember, it's like a 10-minute to 15-minute window, and you got to get them up and get them out. And that's no knock on the doctors. It's just sometimes you're gauged with a time restraint. Shout out to everybody that's chiming in. I see you, Almeen Moore. Meekins, what's up, brother? How are you? And Malika's here. Hi, Malika. It's good to see you coming in too. So, is there anything that's right now happening that you want to share with us, or anything that you predominantly want to talk about, or preferably want to talk about in regards to anybody? If you have questions, any health questions, please type them in so we can ask the doctor, because I know a lot of you out there, you have things going on and you don't want to talk about it. You're ashamed for some reason. Um, don't be ashamed. This is your opportunity to converse with the doctor. I say this all the time. If I put on something here about P. Diddy or something, people be watching, but that's a whole nother topic. You know what I'm trying to say?
oh
But
well, I have to say my university rescinded his
yes,
honorary degree.
yes,
My
yes.
trustee buddies down the street. I'm still in Northwest today. They rescinded. They said give it, and because guess what, that $1 million hadn't come anyway. So it's like whatever, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
It, it,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Hey Dana, what's going on? It's good to see you. Happy birthday to moms. I hope she's having a good birthday. Yeah, that was crazy to watch that video. To know the person personally. It was kind of disheartening to see that. And they always said, he said, if you got receipts, show them. Well, CNN and whoever broke that news first showed them receipts, and I guess Cassidy is rewarded her money. You can't take back the psychological damage that may have been done, and that's a whole nother topic. I don't even know where to go down that rabbit hole on the psychological. I maybe have to bring somebody on from a domestic violence standpoint to talk about that. But um,
So
you
which
know,
one did you say you knew?
I knew Puffy. I mean, they call him Diddy now, but I know Puffy well.
That's
Yep.
right, New York.
Yeah, yeah. Malika said a friend of mine. Let's see what Malika just said. Malika said a friend of mine just had a procedure for kidney stones. What? What are they, and how do they prevent having an issue with them?
Well, it's interesting. Sometimes people don't even know that they have kidney stones until they have passed a kidney stone. And there's something called uric acid. And I tell folks, drink your water. Um, do do what you need to do to stay hydrated. And the symptoms can be weird. Some people will think, as they pass in a stone, they might feel that they're, I don't even know. I mean, they're having, it's equivalent to what it feels like having a baby, but it's severe and it's usually one side. Um, that sometimes they can vomit, they can have nauseating, but it's usually a severe sharp pain. And sometimes you get your urine checked and you see blood in the urine, but it's not bloody urine. So it's not like you see it visibly with your eyes, but when we do the dip, what we call the microscopic urine test, we see the blood. And you can pass it, and after the fact they'll say, okay, you must have passed a stone. Sometimes they'll give you some medicine to break down the stone itself. Um, but once you pass it, you pass it. Most of the time you don't really have to have surgery. They give you some medicines to break it down. Um, and sometimes they resolve it, it goes away. We'll hear stories about how the key thing is staying hydrated, because if you think about sludge and you think about things trying to pass in those little tubes, etc. When I say tubes, your nephrons or
Mhm.
your things that's connected to your urethra. So plenty of fluid can help your urine, can help it pass, as well as it can prevent new stones. And most of the time, as we get older, we stay dehydrated, we stay dry. So that's pretty much it. I mean, we could talk about home remedies and apple cider vinegar and lemon juice and you know uh, eating apples and changing your pH of your urine. But main thing is just staying hydrated. I'll just say
Mm.
that, and watching alcohol intake. So that's pretty much my quick and dirty on kidney stones.
Right. Let me ask you a question. People, I mean, what is the thing when you talk about hydration? At the jazz festival this weekend, two people that I know of. One was woozy, and another one, lady said a lady fell out from dehydration. How much water should a person intake a day?
So you got to balance out the intake and output. And sometimes when people are out in the sun, overheated, drinking alcohol, because alcohol can add to dehydration, um, and whatever they're eating is salty, etc., then they become quicker dehydrated than those people who will be in their air conditioned environment, feet up, um, drinking alcohol.
Right.
So most of us are dehydrated, and you get to the point where you have um, you're overwhelmed, like be it high blood pressure, you get dizzy, your body is like, hydrate me please. So some people say, well, I go and get Gatorade, I go get my electrolytes, and that's okay to a point, because you do need some electrolytes obviously, but you also need water. Now there is something called water toxicity. You're going to want to drink a ton of water all day long, because that drops your sodium. So think about it. So when you have dehydration, your sodium is up, you're too salty. But when you're drinking and drinking liquid, clear fluid, water, it drops. And that's why even with babies, we tell you not to give babies water until they're at least 6 months, because otherwise their sodium drops and then they have seizures. So
Really? Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
so it becomes hyponatremic and they have seizures. And some people, with socially, economically, patients who may not get formula in time on WIC, they'll dilute the formula, add more water, but all that's doing is causing problems to the brain, because it has to be a certain concentration. And if you're diluting it, then you're also cutting down on the sodium.
Mm. Your cousin has a question for you. Let's see.
So, okay, is flavor sparkle for a good substitute? for regular non-flavored. So I'm going to tell you this. I don't like water. Okay, I'm sorry, I just don't. But there are beverages that have some flavor that are more watery than a soda. So I tell folks, in order to get your water in, if you have to substitute it with flavored water, sparkling water has some. It has sodium. Now, sparkling water, believe it or not, is also good because it has some sodium. And as I just said, some people have the sodium is low depending upon how much liquid, how much water they're drinking. So when you get your blood work done, there's something called a CMP, comprehensive metabolic profile. And that will tell you what your sodium intake is or your sodium level. It should not be more than 160. It's usually 140. But if it's low, then you're drinking too much water and then you need to get some sodium. There's something called POTS syndrome, POTTS. And I didn't realize what that was about until 5 years ago. So I'm still learning. And this is when people need salt. That's when they get really dizzy and they fall out. And I've had two of my patients who have been diagnosed as salt and as POTS. And it's almost like you need your body is not, it doesn't have enough sodium and then it gets weak. And then we're looking at cardiovascular. We're like, what is going on? All they have to do literally is have some salt and they bounce back. So there's things that we learn ongoing. And that was something that we didn't learn in medical school. But there's something called POTS, POTTS syndrome.
Okay, because the ongoing joke in this house, or anytime when we come out together, is if we're talking about some health thing. Well, Marilyn said, so that could cause an argument, or it could cause, okay, you got it. You know
Well,
what I mean?
I am trying to keep my relatives healthy for the longest time with an increased quality of life. And I'll tell you, there are things that we thought was good. It's not good. Watch out for the plastic bottled water. Okay.
Here we go. So,
Okay.
so this is no good now, right?
That's no good. The microscopic plastics are no good. Okay.
Now, why is that?
Because of the plastics in the water.
Okay, the plastics in the water.
And that's what's causing cancer. And I see a question. I was always told half your body, yes. But you know what? No, you don't have to do that anymore. Uh, you drink that every day, 65 ounces. That's amazing. Make sure you get in your other ingredients. Make sure you get in your sodium and your lab check. Because when you're drinking too much water, when you pee, when you urinate, it's going to be clear. It's going to look like the toilet water. It's going to be clear. And that, it doesn't have to be super yellow. No, it shouldn't look like orange juice. But at the same time,
right.
It shouldn't be all the time clear because then you'd hyponatremic. We're not saying hypo meaning low sodium. So it's a balance. Yeah, and your body, your kidneys tries to balance that. But if your kidneys are not working properly, then you need to make sure that you understand what too much is and what not enough is.
Wow. So I think you just said your urine is supposed to be kind of clear, right? Not
Yeah, so it's supposed to be clear. It shouldn't be bloody, and it shouldn't be dark. And so when kids, matter of fact, I happen to have one of the cups. When I send a patient to the bathroom, and I give them this cup, okay, and they come back and I look at it, and I can tell by looking if they're dehydrated or if they're starving themselves, even before I send it out. And then we have something called a dip urine, where we have a little stick, what we call the urine dip, and we check it for glucose, we check it for sodium, we check it for ketones, we check it and the pH, and we can see.
I had a text message. They'll try to watch in from Facebook Live. They had to do something to YouTube. So they says, wow, I drink at least 120 to 160 fluid ounces a day of water. I might be drinking too much. How do I know if I'm drinking too much water?
Right. Okay, good question. Now, it all depends on what your sodium intake is and what other foods in terms of any processed food. If you're drinking that much, one thing you should do, first of all, I commend the folks who drink water. That's a good thing because most people don't. So they're flushing their system. That helps you everything from your digestion to your mental capacity. But if you're drinking too much, then what can happen is that you become a little low in your glucose. Not to mention your sugar, but low in your glucose. So you should get what we call your electrolytes checked. And if you're doing whatever you're doing, And then when you go to the doctor, say, this is what I'm doing. And when they check your um, electrolytes, they will see and tell you maybe you're drinking too much. Or most of the time, it's you're dehydrated and you need to drink more water. So
Right.
getting it checked is important.
Right. Right. So you said don't drink because of the plastic. So how should we drink water now? Like
In
pour
a
it in,
glass,
just pour it in a regular glass then.
a glass. Oh, did you hear about those Stanley cups?
Oh, I think that's what. Yeah, listen, that's what they just mentioned about. They said they love
Let me
Stanley
say,
Cup.
you know what? Look, Village, please stop jumping on every daggone, and I tried not to, daggone fad.
Right, right,
Stop it. Them Stanley cups came out, and I got on the feet. Oh, I got a Stanley cup. My daughter gave me a Stanley. I'm looking at them like, huh? And $60, $70, and people were running to get the pink Stanley cup. The straw, as well as the container, they found is toxic. Toxic.
mm.
And you done paid all that money for you to be drinking toxicity. Get a
What
glass.
what
Get a
is Stanley
filter.
Cup? I may have been behind a rock at this time. What is the Stanley Cup? Because
Oh, it's the cute little cup. Google it. It's this cute cup, and it has a little handle. It's almost like a newborn bottle. Like everybody said, I got a Stanley cup. People go down the street drinking their Stanley cup, like, oh, look at me, status symbol. Look at me, killing myself. Now look at me, status symbol. It's like the pocketbooks. Okay, it's like, what is that? Just drink your water. Get glass.
right,
Don't get a styrofoam cup. Don't get
yeah.
a bottled water cup. Get a glass.
Hmm.
Okay, get a glass. Get a thermos. Years ago we had thermos. Get a thermos.
Okay, okay,
But this Stanley Cup, they talked about. I saw somebody just throwing all their Stanley Cups, hundreds of dollars of Stanley Cups, because they were just too cute.
yeah. Well, Stanley Cup. Listen, I let me tell you something. I love the doctor shows, but I tell you, after the shows, I don't know what to do.
I know, I know.
I be like, ah. No. Oh my God. So you people with the Stanley Cups, Doc tell you don't mess with the damn Stanley Cups. Leave them Stanley Cups alone. You know what I'm saying?
So those
So
relatives that you gave Stanley Cups to, because the gift, you didn't know what to give them, and then they don't have a Stanley Cup because it just came out. Go call
right.
them and apologize.
Yeah. Call us, either call and apologize or say,
I'm,
see you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Put
no,
that
it's all good.
okay.
Don't throw the Stanley Cup away. Put it in the cabinet or something.
Right.
Leave it there for souvenir. Griselle said, mine is pretty clear. I don't always drink 65 ounces, but at least 55
Okay.
ounces.
Okay. And you know what? And at least you're trying. So, Giselle, that sounds good. And at least I'm gonna tell you, with that much drinking water, you're flushing and you're doing more hydration, because dehydration can cause more problems.
Okay. Well, this bottle is 33 ounces. Let me ask you a question. And I don't know if you can do this, without, censoring yourself or whatever. Do you have a preference of water that flavor of water that you like or don't? Or just water is water? Because people tell me, oh, I don't.
Alkaline, okay, you hear about alkaline water, you hear about distilled water, you hear about folks just boiling the water. Get a filter on your, what's very reasonable and inexpensive would be a filter, a water filter that goes to your tap water, but have a filter. Because there are times you get warnings of boil your water or get the pollutants out of your water. So I would just go and get a Brita filter that goes and connects to your faucet.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so funny. I mean, I think everybody now is health conscious when regards to water or anything that they put in their body. I mean, I know people that say, "Oh, I don't drink tap water anymore." I remember when we was kids, that's all we drank. But there are people right now that will not touch tap water. You know what I'm saying?
We were drinking tap water, and we were drinking water from the water fountain.
Listen. I mean, I remember people was out there talking about when we was kids and playing at the pump. They was like, "Yo, you in the pump too long. You taking a bath. You don't have no water upstairs." I mean, we were so cruel to each other.
I live on a farm, so I have well water, which is the best water, and I have my little filter, so I don't do that plastic stuff.
Yeah.
And alkaline water is good because what it does, it helps the homeostasis of your body. Mm-hmm. So we tend to be a little acidic. So the alkaline water is fine. You just don't want too much acid.
Okay. We got another question in for you.
Oh, Valerie. Ah, you're hitting. Where's my okay? So coffee can be good and bad. Coffee is good and it's a prevention of colon cancer. Okay, we know about that. Coffee helps your alertness, but too much can be bad because then it can give you jitters, depending on how sensitive you are to caffeine. I had a breastfeeding mother just last week. There's certain things that you can't drink or eat when you're nursing, when you're breastfeeding, especially in the beginning when that baby's gut is so fragile and so new. Okay. And that means certain foods you can't even do raw vegetables, you can't do onions and garlic, beans. So I tell all those expecting mothers, get all your cravings out, because when you're nursing, there are foods that you can't have, like a meat lover's pizza, because all that's going to cause gas and heartburn to you and the baby. One thing you can't do is a whole lot of caffeine either. So the caffeine that you're taking in, of course, baby will take in, and that increases your heart rate, called tachycardia. When I do physicals for the military, I try to tell them don't drink an energy drink or coffee before I see you, because that will take your pulse rate up as well as your blood pressure. So is it true too much coffee is bad? Too much of any good thing is bad. 1 or 2 cups is all you really need, in my opinion. But I've converted to mushroom coffee and I love it. We talked about that. That helps your gut. I
Yeah,
didn't know how much mushroom coffee helps your gut. It does. And it's still that coffee taste, but sometimes I still have to get my regular coffee. So
right,
I'm
right.
going to say bravo for the coffee drinkers, but not too much.
So I mean, what do we say? Three a day, 3 a day, two. All right. Val wants to know more about mushroom coffee. What is that?
So it's an interest. It has it's coffee taste, but mushroom root, and we're not talking those other mushrooms who are hallucinogenic. But the mushrooms have a gut healing, gut protective property. And I mean, well, last time we were on the show, did I find my mushroom? It comes here. I'm looking for it, but I'm not trying to advertise one particular company.
Right,
But
right.
I get it, and it really helps your gut. Like after you drink coffee, sometimes you feel a rumble or your gut feels a little uncomfortable. You may have to run to the bath. Mushroom is it's nice to your gut. It gives you that alertness. You can heat it up. Now they have the mushroom cocos, but mushroom coffee. Look it up. Just pull it up on the internet. Um, and it will say one a scoop in the hot water, and you'll get used to the taste. You don't need to do cream or sugar, or you might, depending upon how you drink your coffee. But you begin to see the difference and feel the difference in your digestive tract.
Really? Okay. Yeah, now you know your cousin. She probably taking notes
Right,
downstairs.
mushroom cocoa. That's
Yeah,
somebody just so my girlfriend,
my
she was
Hollister.
telling
Yeah.
me, because some people don't like the coffee effect, but they like cocoa.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
there you go, Rise. There you go. I didn't want to say it because that's the one I use. I think I showed it to you the other day.
yeah. You
But
did. Yeah,
yeah, I should get stock in it now. But and I'm looking. Hold on for a second. I'm looking.
yeah. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Force. This is Real Talk with Dr. Marilyn Corder. The doctor is in the building, and of course, during the week we have as Stefania has labeled us the cop crew, and
I just
oh,
got my box.
there she go. There she go. Exactly. I don't know, Malika, if you're watching, I know you saw that, so that we'll be do the
I might,
experiment with me soon. Everybody, if you have any questions for the doctor, please write them in.
and
This is
and
it.
my son, listen, and your cousin, my son who lives in the
Hmm.
Philippines, who's like my naturopathic person,
Right, right.
he has been doing mushroom coffee. So when he came to the house, he's like, "Wow, mom, you got mushroom coffee." So we fight over the mushroom coffee.
Yeah. Look at this. See, I knew it. This is the it I'm talking about.
That's right. That's right. And it comes with a cute look. Look, I feel like an avatar. It comes with a cute little spoon.
Now, let me ask you a question. For a person like me that doesn't drink coffee, what should I drink? Something like tea? Is it mushroom tea or something like that?
Well,
I mean,
I know it is. I know it is. They have tea, I'm sure. But you can do cocoa. Sometimes I don't
okay.
even read the little cards, but I'm gonna. It tells you all your information. Okay. But I know how to make my mushroom coffee. I can make it half sleep first thing in the morning.
Yo, Holly, you got mushroom tea? Uh, they
I
got they
bet
got. Oh my
I
God.
bet they do. For those who can't deal with the coffee, get your tea.
Yeah.
But this gives you that mushroom. It helps your immune support, but it makes your digestion very healthy. That I know. I didn't realize that it gives you your energy, stress release, helps you focus. There's something called, and I didn't realize what this was for a while. Something called lion's mane, Lions mane, Mane, and that helps your focus. That's in mushroom coffee.
Really?
And coffee itself helps you focus. So
Really?
many patients who have ADHD, even though people will say, well, doesn't that make you more hyper? For a person who has truly ADHD, it helps them focus. Well, this is even better than that. Okay.
So you saying when we was growing up, our parents should have gave us a coffee instead of an ass whipping? That's like because
That's right. That's right. Years ago we said coffee will stunt your growth, except no, it won't. It'll help that brain power. So mushroom coffee really helps. Look at my
Oh
cousin
wow.
Malika.
Yeah, hold on. What Malika talking about? She says I'm not a coffee drinker either, but I will
All
try.
right, good. There you go, Malika. There you go.
Listen, tomorrow morning or late on
That's
the
right.
night, I'm gonna
And
hear.
it's a different effect. And you can get it like some people want one or two scoops. Sometimes I do the three scoops. It depends on how rich you want your mushroom coffee to be.
Really, really. Val said, she said, thank you. She says, I will try it. Okay, Val, go ahead. But Val, you're a coffee drinker, right? I mean, Doc, for people like yourself and I know Val gets up with the crack of dawn. I guess coffee is that stimulant to get you going, get your day going and stuff like that.
And it's I have to, that smell of coffee is nothing like it. And you want it that psychologically, but guess what? And Jay is right. Joy's right. Brain power. The main thing is you just want to get up and focus and get your day on. So convert to mushroom coffee for those. A mushroom cocoa.
Wow, I guess I'm gonna have to get smarter and Holly and I have a joke, ongoing joke. Holly and I are born on the same day, the same year, and it's just like about 45 minutes or hour and 45 minutes apart.
I
And
met Holly.
yeah, you met Holly, and she always says that she's the smartest twin, and I'm the prettiest twin. Holly, if I drink some of this coffee, I'm gonna catch up to you.
Watch out, Holly. Go ahead and get 2 cups ahead of them.
Exactly. Dana said, "Yep, we used to give coffee to my god kids, little whiz adults
That's
now."
right.
Okay.
That's right. That's right. True.
Oh man. Okay. Val says, what did she say? She says, no, I missed that one. She says, "Yep, I mix it decaf and regular 3 cups a day." Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess. Well, what's so funny? I remember my mom's. She would drink some coffee. I didn't remember my father drinking a lot of coffee. I think that's where I accrued my tea love from that. But I think maybe he did drink coffee and stuff like that. I don't really recall him drinking coffee. Were your parents coffee drinkers?
Yeah, and I loved it. They percolated their coffee.
Really?
The smell of coffee. They had that silver, percolator, and they didn't have the things that we have now with the filters. It was like it was a catch-all, and they put the coffee in, and then you smell it throughout the day.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you remember the old coffee pots? You see them boiling,
right. You hear it.
And,
Right, and that's
yeah.
and so when I was taking care of mom the last 5 years, she loved the way I made her coffee. I'd make her coffee. She had a nurse, a caretaker during the day, but before I left for work, and I would take care of from 5 o'clock to the next morning. But before I
Of
left for work,
course.
she said, "Can you make my coffee?" Because I knew how much cream, how much sugar, and I make her coffee. That was a privilege, an honor for her to say, "Make my coffee." Now, is
Mhm.
frappe coffee? See, I think that's too much additives, Dana. But if that's how you like it, fine. And even espresso, my son likes the bullet coffee, the one that's really octane. I just think sometimes that's too much. But if that's what you drink, but start introducing yourself to coffee. Okay, so that's the stirring up and the okay. So I stand corrected.
Oh, Holly, let me find out you're a little coffee connoisseur. Let me find out. You are the smartest twin today. No, for the most part, exactly. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. That's Dr. Marilyn Corder. That's my host, my co-host, and this is Real Talk. Uh, any questions? Put them in, chime them in. We got about 13 more minutes, so please, any questions you have to ask the doctor, ask them. Doc, what I know usually there's themes for months and stuff like that.
Say that
Um,
again. The what?
like I said, I know there's usually every month there's a theme, like
Oh,
a health theme. Of this month, is this June? Is
I
there?
don't know. I keep. I don't. I mean, I stopped keeping track of the themes. I mean, it's two or three per month, and then some. And then if for somebody who's famous get something, then all of a sudden there's cancer of the colon or cancer of whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, Holly, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think because, like you said, I mean, uh, I guess it's a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, I guess when people do have awareness, it was so funny. People were talking about uh, diabetes and things about that. I know Dougie Fresh was talking about that and talking about his health and how he's such a water avid water drinker and things like that. And like you said, when somebody famous gets something that brings attention to it, and I think we just have to be cognizant of what is it, our family trees when it comes to our health issues. Because anytime you go to a doctor, they'll be like, okay, do you have any family history of this or that and stuff for those magnitudes? I was just here, oh, Holly said it's Men's Mental Health Month. Well, shit, that should be every month. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, Holly. Yeah.
Yeah. Malika said, what did she say to me? What did you say, darling? She said May was Lupus Awareness Month. Okay, wow. You know, um,
I like talking about lupus because most people, when they get a diagnosis of lupus, they have had it for 10 years and the doctors just never check for it. I tell every black woman, it's mainly in black women, but it could be in anybody. I tell every black woman who has arthritis, who may have some funny patchy hair loss, who has what we call the butterfly rash, which would be like a pigmentation. We call it butterfly pigmentation, like butterfly wing of their face. Um, um, the key thing also is that when you pee pee, when you urinate, there's something called protein, making sure your urine is not having excess protein. Again, remember I told you about the little dipstick we do? We look for protein. Protein is telling us something's going on with your kidneys. So it could
mhm,
be a kidney infection. But there's certain I was just talking about this yesterday when we were celebrating Dr. George. There's a couple of
mhm,
doctors from Howard. We got to talking about renal disease, kidney disease. Um, we also started talking about lupus and sarcoidosis, and that many times when people have lupus, it's late diagnosed where it should be young. You should have been diagnosed 10, 20 years. So make sure whoever your doctor is that you ask them, what do you know about lupus? I'm not saying you have it, but it's interesting, and you need to make sure that they're aware. So lupus awareness should be every month as well, um,
mm,
because lupus can affect you. We had a cousin that died from lupus, Tamiko, and she had a bad situation. Not only did she have lupus, she has sickle cell disease. So the treatment for lupus is steroids, which stabilizes it. But if you have sickle cell, steroids will kill you. So it's like she was like this. She was like the poster child for lupus and the poster child for sickle cell. They said she wouldn't live past 20. She was 40 before she transitioned, um, late 30s. So she was a miracle in and of herself. But lupus is interesting. A lot of doctors don't, you know, they don't recognize it. I'll just say that. Just like they don't recognize multiple myeloma. Please make sure if you're really tired, there's certain things that multiple myeloma. I'm gonna have y'all look it up. Look, give y'all some homework, man.
right, 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 right. That's good. Yeah, everybody look it up.
And
You know, okay.
we have a propensity, us black people, to have multiple myeloma 3 to 4 times more often than um, the other races. And
Mhm,
most of the time, we as black people don't tell folks what Uncle Ned had or whatever, and they may not know. Some people say he just died, but we should begin to understand what multiple myeloma is, as well as if there's relatives, if someone has it, they need to share that information because that's we see in that too much. It's like a cancer of your
mm,
bone marrow, of your bone marrow. So your immune system and multiple myeloma really attacks a lot of black men. It hits
Really?
anybody but black men.
Oh wow.
I feel
Okay.
like this has been a doom gloom hour. I'm so sorry, guys, but
No, no. Listen, I bet you people get off this once they get off this, they'll be googling and researching
yes,
and inboxing me and texting. And, talking about yo, I didn't know, and that's
right,
good because let me tell you something. Knowledge is key. You know,
yes.
knowledge is key. Um, Stefania has a question for you, Doc.
Um, some people do well on 6 hours. Some people do well on 9 hours. There is some studies that say if you want to lose weight, you should get 8 to 9 hours of sleep. I thought it was just the opposite. If you don't sleep as much, you don't sit there and hibernate. But suppose, and of course, high blood pressure, you want to rest a little longer. Now, some people don't require that much. I go to sleep around 11, but I'm up at 5. Um, Sometimes as I get older, I'm trying to. The bedtime is like sometimes 9:30, but then I wake up at 2. I'm like, why am I waking up? Because your body said you don't need any more sleep.
Right, right,
So,
right. Hey,
but yeah,
let me ask you a question. Uh, I guess hopefully when that day when it comes when you retire, but you know, as a retiree, I guess Lika's always teasing me. She's like, "Yo, get up in the morning, da 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 da." Her and her mother always talking about, "Oh, you sleeping your day away." Well, I earned it. You know what I'm saying? But I get it. When you get up, you get so much accomplished. You do
right.
get it much accomplished. But I know, I mean, a lot of times people are up because they have something to do, via work, child, whatever the reason is. Let me ask you a question. Dana has I agree with you. I'm gonna put this in here and then think this is a statement. Little niece Dana, she says, I agree we should share the health status of loved ones. Absolutely. You better talk about your loved ones. What's up, Jen? How are you, sis? As we get older, we find ourselves, or I can say men. I've had this conversation with men. We get up in the middle of the night and we go to the bathroom. Is that just because it comes with the age, or is just we drank something? I mean, I'm sure, of course, you drink something at night, but usually I try to, empty out my bladder before I lay down and go to sleep. But
It's it's cause you getting older, and
yeah,
let me tell you, it's equivalent to when somebody's pregnant and their bladder doesn't have the capacity anymore because that uterus is pressing on the bladder. Well, as you get older, some people don't realize that their prostate is a little bit bulging, not as much as a pregnant uterus, but bulging,
right,
and they can't the capacity of their urine as they make the production. If you think of your bladder as a balloon upside down, so the volume of the urine, if your prostate is a little bit right next to it, like the next door neighbor pushing your wall, then you can't hold your bladder that long till the next day. So you got to get up and pee.
yeah, yeah,
Now
yeah.
let me go back to what Dana said. One thing I like about pediatrics is when you have a newborn, and I have them come in, the couple, and I start asking about relatives, what we call family medical history.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody related to you. And they sometimes don't know the answer to this or that. And I said, well, this is a good time to find out what your grandmother's cancer was, or to find out why so and so only has one kidney now. And you can just blame it on your nosy pediatrician. And I tell them, so because I'm nosy, I'm also a geneticist. After I did college, 4 years of medical school, 3 years of pediatric residency, 2 years of genetic fellowship, 2 more years of adolescent. I want to know what's going on.
Right,
Okay. I
right,
don't want to be caught blind. So, and sometimes they don't know, but just give me some history of what's going on. If so and so got these moles and spots everywhere, or so and so has this, then I can diagnose it pretty much. You give me one or two cues. It's like name that tune. I can get a few things in there, and then I'll say, make sure they check for this or that. And then from there, I'm like, I'm going to be watching as this baby gets older, what he or she, how they're presenting. So it's not just allergic to penicillin. Okay, I get that. That's fine. Or sensitive to the pollen. But I want to know nit grit. Who got this? Who has sarcoidosis? Who has multiple myeloma? Who has, um, um, you know, fibrosis of the lungs? Because as we get older, it becomes more prominent. But lupus begins in teenagers. As an adolescent specialist, I've had teenagers present with a swelling of the leg. One time I thought it was the birth control pills at just 18 years old. And I said, let me just get your urine. Turns out she has lupus. As a matter of fact, I saw her the other day. She's 62 years old. And she was one of my older patients because as an adolescent specialist, I was seeing them to 24, but I became
Okay.
an adolescent specialist in my 20s. So some of my patients were almost as old as I am at the time. So,
Mhm.
but I diagnosed her as having lupus. Her kidneys are fine now. There's certain things you can't take, and Malika will tell you, even when you don't have lupus, Motrin. There's certain foods that you can't eat. So you have to know what the baseline, what's going on, so that you won't insult your body parts, be it your organs, your liver, your kidneys, etc., your heart. So
Stefania has a question, but I have a question before I put Stefania's in there. As you know, being a first responder, they always go. I go every year and get tested. You said something about moles and stuff. They always ask about moles. Let me ask you a question: can your body inherit a mole, or something like that as you get older? Is that equated
let
to
me tell you,
something?
I had a friend of mine died. He had a mole in his scalp. In fact, two colleagues. One's a GI doctor, and he had a mole in his head, and it was missed. Well, and then he's dead.
Mm.
Another oncologist had a mole. Her hairdresser found it. So anything that's different, and you need to know your body. Look at your body. Know what's new. Know what's new. Skin cancer. We get it. We got skin. We can get it.
So that's what is that a sign of skin cancer when you start seeing moles, something
But
like
it's
that?
a part of a malignancy, what we call melanoma malignancy. It's cancer of the skin. And we see that, and some of it is benign, which is a good word in medicine, benign, but some of it is malignant, which is cancer.
Wow, wow. Yeah, I know. You know how many people in the mirror right now looking.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I've had patients, little kids with the mole, and it changes, and the different margins of it is called irregular margins. And you're like, well, I'll say, let's see a dermatologist. And they might biopsy it, and that's all it's fine on. They may biopsy and say, we need to take all of it out and an inch beyond the margins. In other words, not just a spot, but an area that halos around the spot to make sure we got all of it.
Mm, okay. Stefania has a question for you. Let's see.
I started taking power naps about a year ago. I can sit in this chair and for 20 minutes take a nap, and I'm at work, and I'm ready to go. But
Really?
ordinarily, I don't take naps, and I'm just one of those Type A personality. I'm not ashamed. Everybody who knows me, well, y'all know me. I'm a Type A personality. I love that. It makes people who are not Type A, they get exhausted just listening to me or being around me. But that's fine. I'm.
Really?
Mhm.
Have you had any patients be like, "Yo, doc, you just too much. I can't take it." Now I know. Listen, everybody. This is a joke in our family. The one thing about the force is we bossy and we know we love to type and write letters. No.
But
That's an
it's
inside joke.
funny.
That's an
My
inside joke.
my patients, they liked the energy,
Right,
and
right.
they like the responsiveness. And I'm not perfect. No, no, I'm never gonna say that. But the fact that I'm more I hate to use the word compulsive, quick to respond, quick to ask them questions, quick to know what's going on. And especially my patients who become teenagers and the parents like, okay, you go talk to Dr. Corder. We don't want to hear it. Well,
Right, right,
she'll get
right.
back to us because they know that I'm going to delve real deep and I'm going to get the information and I'm going to let them know how to call me. They have my cell phone, text me anything. Sometimes I tell them, I know you ain't talking to me. They'll tell me, my friend had this, my friend. I know it's them. I'm like, tell me about your friends so I can
Mhm.
answer their questions too.
Yeah, like Holly said, Holly co-signed what you said. Holly trying to be an assistant to you. You got two assistants now, Stefania and Holly. She said a dermatologist. Dana, I think, she had a question. She said, "I am."
Good. And see, here's what you want to do, especially people of color, black folk. We got to tell them to ask their doctor what's going on. I hate to hear this. They just died. Well, what do you mean they just died? That's what your
Yeah,
car does. Your car just died. You didn't just die.
yeah,
Something
yeah,
killed you. Something. There's a reason you're no longer in the land of the living. So
yeah.
be nosy, and sometimes they may not know. Um, Hopefully, as your relatives are getting older or whatever, go to the doctors with them and get those answers before they are gone, so you
Yeah.
know what runs in the family. And
Yeah.
like I said, when I have a newborn, brand new family, I never know them. I ask what they have. They did what? Like somebody may say, well, my dad drank and smoked, so he had cancer of whatever, the liver. Some of the things are habit causing, but some of the
Mhm.
things are in your genetics.
Right.
And that's information that's so important to have, and knowledge is power, and knowledge is empowering because we didn't get here by ourselves. I mean, when I say that, it's two people. And what brings those two people are all their DNAs together to that one person.
Yeah. You know what's so funny? Everybody, if you got, I'm about to let the doc go. I got one more question for. So you'll see her again in
Yeah,
a
I
month.
would say it's overtime, but I don't get paid, so it's like
No, no,
okay.
no, no. Listen, and she doing this out of love, and she gives back to her village. So it's a beautiful thing that I have the doctor, and it's my cousin. So it's definitely a love thing, and I appreciate it. But my doctor's world renowned, so I always love to brag about her and what she's done. She's done so much for so many, and I hope she gets the applause for it. So put the hearts in there for her, please, and let her know that you appreciate and love her. Let me ask you a question before we go. You said illnesses, they always ask about things. So illnesses can be hereditary.
Absolutely. And what you do, if it's already in your blueprint, your DNA, then you can begin to do some preventive things. That doesn't mean you're going to have different things, but you want to make sure that your habits, your lifestyle, the foods you eat, etc., are foods to nourish you. Otherwise, food is your medicine, and if you don't appreciate that, then you're gonna be taking medicine to live. So you eat to live versus taking medicine to live, and
Mm,
that's so true. And what
that's,
my frustration with doctors, and I have to, I say it all the time. Let's try to find out what people are sensitive to, what people have, what's going on with their body to lose weight. I know it's hard, but it's better to that than taking a ton of medications. You know, to drink the water, and you want to drink. Most of the folks don't drink enough water, so let me just correct myself. You're not going to drink it to toxicity because y'all ain't drinking that much water.
right.
Okay, but you want to make sure that you understand what's going on with your relatives, with you know sciatica, what kind of arthritis, spondylosis, which your back hurts, thyroid. We don't talk enough about thyroid
Mm,
cancer, hyperthyroid, thyroid, hypo. Everybody got really interested when Oprah started talking about hypothyroid. For those of you who know me or have no, I was on the Oprah show, and I got pictures with Oprah several times, so
yeah,
I'm very familiar with Oprah, and I love her, but I'm concerned about the Ozempic, the weight. And even though she had to do it because she tried so many different things, my sister Oprah. But
yeah,
what my concern is, everybody's jumping right to that
yeah.
for the weight. And that's a whole conversation.
And what's so funny? We just had a talk. Allison, one of the other co-hosts, she's on that now, and she's lost a lot of weight. And I told her, I said, you got to stop. You
Well, she's a
know,
diabetic. Well, I don't want to put people.
no,
See, it's
no,
standard
no,
to
no, she
give.
is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She'll talk about it. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
diabetes, that's the treatment of choice. It does, the benefit is losing weight, but as well as it cuts down your hemoglobin A1C and stabilizes it. And then when they realize, oh, he's losing a lot of weight, then that became Ozempic, then became the true weight management directly, as opposed to you have to have diabetes to get it. Very costly. They have off brands and new stuff. So thank you. Somebody said Dr. C is
that's Stefania. That's Stefania.
the
That's
fire.
yeah, yeah.
So
One day we might have to get you on the show with Allie, so we could have it just a segment on that. If you find some time one day, because she's on, or maybe I'll bring her on your show on your day.
yeah, I would love to see Ali. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah. So okay, Doc. I ain't gonna hold you because I ain't gonna have you mad at me. We already had enough cousin madness this
That's
weekend.
like it must be a full moon because our
Yeah,
cousins are
yeah.
just wearing it out.
So give him some positive affirmation before you get out of here, cuz.
Okay, so one thing that's positive, I want everybody, when you wake up tomorrow, send me some good vibes. Tomorrow is my birthday.
Oh, there
Hey,
you go, everybody. Come on, put
hey.
up the hearts for the doctor. Give us some love. Exactly. Exactly. Give us some heart. Happy,
But
happy, happy 21st birthday,
there
cuz.
you go. Thank you so much.
You
Thank
know
you
what I'm
so much.
saying? That's right. The Geminis
There you go. And I am, and I am going to work tomorrow, but I'm not going to work hard.
no,
Okay. Okay.
That's it.
Um.
Everybody put some happy birthdays in there for the doc. Exactly. They're coming in there. See? Exactly. They're
Thank
gonna
you.
come. Yeah, I'm
Thank
gonna let you
you.
see them. Exactly. Here's the birthday love. Okay, yeah. Show it
Yes.
to her. Yep. Four. There
All
you
right
go.
now. Gemini's in the house.
Yeah, yeah. Look at all the birthday love. Okay, I'm gonna let you see it. Exactly.
Oh, thank you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh,
Oh.
look at this. I'm gonna let you see this one. How can we send it again? You can send it to me, and I can give it to her. No,
And then next month, tell me what I missed.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, Stefania, you have an email address, so you can talk to her that way. You know what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
doctors. Let me tell you something. The one thing about the doctors, any doctors that we've had on the show, our resident doctors, especially my cousin, Dr. Corder, and then the Max, and then sometimes her husband, my other cousin, Dr. Fred Corder, comes on. They have given back so much to our community, people of color, that is the flowers. I mean, that's a blessing, that I'm so appreciative that, I come from a family that we're conscious in that aspect and we want to give back. And when I asked her, it's been, I think about, Malika had to tell me, I think it's about 3 years now. And we've been doing this podcast since the pandemic. And I asked her because the doctor had her own show.
Right.
And I used to
And
come on her show.
I just
Yep.
retired. It's been 25 years that I do my show every Saturday.
Yeah.
Radio One with Kathy Hughes. But I just retired, and
Yeah.
Cousin Bill has been on that when we talk law enforcement, and that's
Yeah.
been a show.
I was her expert on that, and now I was like, come on, cuz. Exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad that she is. You will definitely hear from Malika and I tomorrow to wish you happy birthday. Everybody, it's Dr. Corder's birthday. I wish you all the best. I love you. I appreciate you so much. It was good talking to you earlier. It's good. And we'll be talking to you tomorrow. We'll double up. Everybody, watch the episodes. Go to YouTube. If you have questions, come back. Wednesdays, we're going to get back to as Stefania affectionately calls us, the cop crew. I'll bring some people in. There's so many stuff to talk about. The Army guy that got shot. We got this new politics stuff going. Not new. What's going on? 34 counts. Does that mean anything? My cousin, I don't know, but she's a conscious one too. That's a whole nother show. But I try to keep her on the medical. One day I'm gonna have to bring her on the other side, and we could talk about it. And then later on,
it causes stress, and stress aggravates your health. So I can talk about all that too. And so I just wanted to update you. So I'm upgraded my professorship at Howard. I got a doctorate, a real doctorate, not an honorary doctorate. But anyway, we're talking about that. And I am going to be talking to the PAs, the physician assistants, because I told them, look, medicine is interesting, but medicine is going like pew downhill. And I want to make sure that the sensitivity that's needed in medicine continues. So I'm going to give what I have been given with my teachers at Howard. So I'm going to be beginning to update with the adjunct professorship in the fall. So I talked to them today, and they're going to be, I have to go to them for 2 hours, 3 hours a week. And then the students will be coming to me. So
that's awesome, because just like, I'm glad that you're able in a position to go back and give back and talk to them and tell them how to have more bedside manner. Right. Because in law enforcement, a lot of times they don't call back the vets to have that kind of conversation. It's like a brainwash mentality, and you have robots out here that don't know how to interact with the community, and still be law. Not just be scared to do your job and get out there. I'll send you some footage of what I'm talking about, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Everybody, that's Dr. Marilyn Corder.
Thank you, Cousin Malika. Love you guys.
Yeah, everybody. This is Real Talk with Dr. Corder. We'll see you either Wednesday or next week. We will be back. I appreciate you all. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Love the feedback, the comments. Tell me what else we can do to make it better. You got
a smart listening crew. I love it. They keep me on my toes. Keep it up.
There you go. Thank you, cuz. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.